This is one of two up here. DPI, whoever that is. Compact outdoor speakers. I took this speaker apart a couple years ago, repainted the grill because it was really rusty. It's starting to rust a little again now. Pulled it out of the housing because I had a bad solder joint inside. I thought I had a bit blown capacitor. It turned out to be a bad solder joint. No, plastic's chipping. I didn't glue the unit back in the housing because I was gonna, now that I look at it, I probably still should. I was gonna make a new baffle board. Should greatly improve this speaker if I did. Piece of masonite maybe, and drill all these holes, and quite a bit of work. So I never did it. Never replaced the caps either, I see. I should find a mylar cap to put in there instead. But anyway, I'm just going to glue this in solid because I'm probably never going to do anything with this. Well, maybe I should. Maybe I can just wreck it out and do it if I have to. If I do make a board for it. But for now I'm going to glue it in because it's making a real nasty noise when you crank up the bass on it. The air escaping around the edge of this baffle board. So we have a chintzy plastic baffle board, which I'd really like to do something about. Got a sealed upper mid-range low tweeter type thing here. And we've got a little ceramic tweeter, super tweeter I guess. Piezoelectric. And a pretty decent little woofer for what it is. Aluminum case. A tiny bit of I think yours just mentioned you don't need a whole lot of insulation, though I might beef it up a little bit. And then I broke a wire off the back, so I gotta fix that now. I'd like to find a cap for this. 4.7 though, I don't think I have any milers that big. So here's where these two normally hang, under the eaves. The bracket for the other one I took down. As you can see, I really need to take this one apart and do some cosmetic work on this one. This one works fine though. Grill is pretty nasty. Well, back to another neglected project. This is my little mini speaker. I'm getting tired of listening to one mini speaker outside. These are my outdoor speakers with my hot tub. This speaker was buzzing real bad. I took it apart a few years ago because I thought it had a blown capacitor from the distortion it was making. But it turned out that it just had a bad solder job inside. So I fixed it up, put it back together, painted the grill. Already needs a redo. It all was fine. I didn't glue in the this plastic bezel board to the frame because I was thinking, well, maybe I'll make a better bezel board for it. I've been debating that for quite a while. Or maybe I'll re-enter it and put more insulation in, or a better capacitor. The capacitor is kind of a wonder. It's a 4.7 MFD. I think I'd go a little smaller, like a 3. I wanted to put a mylar in, but that would be pretty big at that capacitance. I'd have to use like a 100 volt 3 to replace a 50 volt AC capacitor. It's a non-polarized electrolytic. But anyway, this, without gluing it in, the dang bezel or board was buzzing so bad that it was just irritating to listen to. I finally had to take it down. Again, this is one of those projects where it's not a horrendously expensive speaker. It does sound pretty good, but it's not like a audiophile quality. We're kind of debating what to do with it. Almost not worth the effort to put all this effort into it, but I'm getting tired of listening to one speaker, and this plastic chipped in 2 of the corners. This is really crummy for a for a board. This little woofer's kind of decent. The tweeter sounds pretty good. It's got like a super tweeter too, which is just a little piezo. This electrolytic is so tiny. Surprised it's held up, but it seems to be working still. I'd like to put something better in there, but I don't really have anything to put in there right now offhand. So I'm going to do what I said I wasn't going to do, and I went and bought some masonite, and I'm going to make a bezel for it. A new speaker board. What's the word I'm looking for? Baffle board. And here I am. I'm actually making these bezel boards. Baffle board? What is the word? Anyway, slipping my mind right now. So I bought a universal hole saw. Tried using it freehand, which is pretty much impossible, so I got out my little mini drill press. And I'm going to space the woofers, the drivers all a little differently than they were. This was right at the edge. I moved it in just a little bit. I just have to leave room for the tweeter and super tweeter, I guess. And I'm going to mount those as close as I can to the woofer. So I'm changing the position of all the drivers a little bit, moving the woofer inward a little more, and putting the tweeters closer to the woofer, if you can call that a woofer. The other reason I have delayed on working on this project is I was contemplating maybe doing something different with it, and that was to find some real good dome tweeters and make these two-ways. Not really, but it would have been the way to go. I just didn't really see any dome tweeters that I liked on my one internet search. I spent a few hours searching. I didn't really come up with anything I really wanted. A lot of the tweeters, good dome tweeters, have a big backing plate behind them, a mounting plate, which I couldn't use in this situation. So I needed a dome tweeter that was small yet could take a lot of power. That would have made these sound sweet, make them a two-way system, and put a high quality dome in. At any rate, I'm getting sick of listening to one speaker. Didn't really see what I wanted in dome tweeters offhand, so I'm just going to put what it had in it back in it. And now I'm ready to drill out the tweeter mid-range, I guess. So that's it for the tweeter mid-range, whatever it is. Now for the super tweeter. I drew the approximate, that's the size of the whole thing, so I got to give a little bit more for gluing space. I think I'm going to go with a 5/8 on this one. It's just a flat disc, it's real low quality. It had a little plastic thing on top of it, maybe I'll show that later. Which I'm probably going to delete because it wasn't really affixed to the part that really flexes, so it's really just in the way of the sound. Real flat is really not ideal for a tweeter either, though. But being a super tweeter, it's not going to do much. It's going to do even less than it originally did because I'm going to put a small capacitor in series with it and a small resistor across the terminals of it, like I always do to piezo's. Mellow them out a little bit. Then I had to pick out some screws that are from my little junk tins here that I can probably work for that thin masonite. Well, these guys, these are about the right length. Got two that are a little bit fatter, so if these lose traction, I got a couple backups. And the drill hole's a little bit small, so they fit nice and tight. See how that works. The speaker's going to be held together by glue for a major part too. It's like it was originally. And now I've drilled all the little screw holes for the mounting bolts. I do this all over with a third piece that I cut originally for fit. And then I did these all on top of that. It'll act as a backup if I ever really need to, although it's a little bit thin than the other ones. I tried it first for saw, you know, fit, and then made these just a tad wider when this was a little too, actually the other way around, made these a tad narrower. So there I go. I'll probably face them like that. So now all I gotta do now is deburr them and paint the one side. And that'll be it for today, until the paint dries. And I'll be ready to mount them. Next time I come up, I'll be able to mount them up and have a working speaker. Then as a final last step, I knocked the edges off the holes for the tweeter and the super tweeter using a router bit as a bearing. I'm going real carefully with this by hand, though I can't show you. Anyway, knock the edge off. So here they are. I've got them mirrored each other for left and right. We'll do one cabinet right away and the other cabinet probably in the spring, just to get me going. But I routed off the super tweeter holes pretty well. You know, took the sharp edges off. Did the tweeter as well, and even did the woofers to a real small extent. So now I'm going to put them in a box and paint them. It's too cold and damp to paint outside right now, so do the old paint in the box trick, or I'm going to spray them inside of a cardboard box. Keep the paint odor down as much as I can. I'm leaving this place anyway, so I'm not going to be sleeping here tonight, so it doesn't really matter if it stinks a little bit. This is what I was talking about on the tweeter. It's a planer tweeter, the super tweeter rather. See right there, just a flat disc. It's a real cheapo ceramic thing, piezoelectric. Then they covered it with this fancy chrome dome, which is glued heavily into here. So really, it really isn't coupled to the part of the tweeter that was really flexing, which would be the center in this case. The whole tweeter is going to dish out a little bit under stress. So this is like just an obstacle in front of the sound. Plus I'm not going to be like, get it out of here, it's glued in too well. Maybe I could. And maybe I'll put a real small dome on top of it as an afterthought. I can cut these domes out, or have someone make me some foam ones or something. I'm not going to worry about too much. Alright, then I sprayed the back side of the baffle board with a spray adhesive and just kind of smeared it around and put a real heavy coat on, just to kind of make the board sticky. So it would receive this double stick tape, which worked really well, almost too well. It made putting the tape on really tricky. I cut the tape down a narrow strip about a third of the width of the roll here, and put tape all around the edge of the woofer and the tweeter and the super tweeter. And then I pressed the elements into place, and then I screwed the two elements that have screws in them. I'm going to put a little more tape around this element, and maybe in this edge here where it kind of got off-centered, just to make sure everything's airtight. And then I'm going to rework the crossover a little bit. And here I've put a a very small inductor in series with a woofer, and a capacitor in series with the super tweeter, which doesn't really need it, but I want to clean it up a little bit. I kind of doubt that it does really much at all. Probably should have just eliminated it. Again, what would have been sweet would have been to put a nice dome tweeter if I could have found one that would fit in here nicely, and eliminate the super tweeter. Anyway, it is what it is. I'd like to put a better bipolar electrolytic in there too, or a non-electrolytic if possible. But this project's way over budget time-wise anyway, so I just want to get her done, get her functioning tonight. So I'm going to put a mess of hot glue over that edges of that tweeter, super tweeter. Tack things down a little bit with a little bit of hot glue, and then put the whole thing together and call it a day. I'm going to put a little extra foam in the case. All it came in was a little bit of polyester. I'm going to put some of this thin foam on at least one side. Probably wrap the whole back, and then put that polyester on top of that. Maybe some extra polyester, I don't know. Don't want to overdo the poly. So the little thin wires broke. I put a little heavier wire in, and I'm covering the tin sides with this insulation. Help kill the resonance of this box a little, I hope. But now I see that I missed a very important step. So I anchored everything down with hot glue, and I would be all done. So there's some final sealing around the edges, which is probably going to be hot glue as well. But I neglected to precisely locate the screw holes for the... did all the other holes, and I neglected to precisely install the holes in the cover and the bezel for the... Jeez. So one more step. More time down the drain. Lost in the Trees by Nuri, a band you can find in Jamando. Battery's running low. Can't judge the sound this way. This is the old one, stock. Here's the one I've improved, I hope. To me it does sound a little better. I really need the help of someone to be on the inside and put the stereo into mono and pan back and forth. Then I could really judge it better. But I think it's succeeded in cleaning up the mid-range treble a little bit. The main reason I had to do all that was because the baffle was cracked on the old one here. On this one, I was making a nasty farting noise, vibration at high level. It doesn't do anymore. I had it up pretty loud last night. So I need to take the old one apart and clean the, paint the grill. I'm going to live with these for a few months until summer. Then I'll go ahead and at least paint the grill on this one, if not do the whole job I did in this one. I cut all the parts. It's not all the parts I decided I use in this one, so if I do decide to do this one, I got everything handy to do it with. So it shouldn't take so long. It's kind of a stupid secret project though. I could have bought a pair with all the hours I put into these. Probably I'm a little over budget on time. I was hoping I could do get this one done in 2 hours. It took a lot longer than that. Could probably do the other one in a short amount of time since I got the parts, like I said, to get the bezel, or what do you call it? The baffle board all cut and everything. But I don't know. It does seem to sound better. Like I said, I really got to judge it better with I got to be able to put it in mono and have someone panning back with balance back and forth to really get a good shot of which sounds better. And get something with a lot of treble and cymbals and stuff going on, like this kind of does. These speakers do sound nice for what they are. Way over budget though, time-wise. Now I can fix the wiring, which was something I was experimenting with. It wasn't the real problem though. And neaten my wall up and tuck my wiring in.